What is up, YouTube? What is up, Canada? What's up, the world? Matt McKeever here. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, the stock market, and is there going to be a crash in 2021? So originally today, I was thinking I was just going to chat with you guys in general about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and whether it creates value. And what really sparked this conversation for me was I shared with my team last night. I actually remembered I had an old cryptocurrency wallet from way back in the day that I haven't accessed, and honestly, I hadn't even accessed it on my new phone yet. So it's been a couple years since I've blew off the dust on it. If you guys don't remember, back in 2017 and I think early 2018 here in London, Ontario, myself and Jeff Weibel actually hosted regular cryptocurrency meetups and blockchain meetups here in London. And as one of the options, we gave the opportunity, if people wanted, instead of paying their admission with cash, they could actually pay me by cryptocurrency. And so they ended up actually, a couple people paid me with Litecoin, one with Bitcoin, and one with Ethereum, Ether. And so I was like, oh shit, I forgot about those. I think there was about $20 or $30 worth of cryptocurrency back in 2017 in that wallet. Secret billionaire Matt, I see Chris added in the comments. Not quite Chris, but it was funny. I think Adam Martin started reading my text message and just jumped to conclusions thinking I was going to be a billionaire. But no. But it actually is worth about, well, the market's gone down since last night when I checked it, but it was worth about $620 at the time. And so that is a pretty phenomenal return, a 20 or 30x return over a couple of years, which is very astounding. And so I thought I'd really just kind of chat to you guys about that, my general thoughts. And then this morning, I kind of woke up, just checked to see what was going on the internet in general. And, I saw my buddy Meet Kevin here. Here's his live stream going on right now, actually. And he's talking about a stock market crash and a Bitcoin potential crash. And right now he's going through the data because if you guys haven't been paying attention, Bitcoin dropped, I think it's down about 18% right now from its high yesterday, but it's been anywhere from kind of like 15 to 25% down from that high. And so it was interesting to see, Kevin covering it. And then I actually just opened up Forbes as well and then saw this article, titled How to Spot the Stock Market and Bitcoin Crash of 2021. And I've only kind of skimmed the article, to be honest, but it was kind of interesting. And so the author in here is talking about how a lot of cryptocurrency bulls, a lot of Bitcoin bulls in particular, are really focused on that idea that they're going to be able to, hit the 1 cent per Satoshi. So essentially $1 million Bitcoin. And, this all just seemed too perfect for me to not play off of in regards to, making a clickbaity title. But I do want to talk to you guys about my thoughts and my perspective when it comes to cryptocurrency in the stock market and meme stocks as well. I think there's a lot of things that we need to parse out here. And so for me, the one thing I did want to share with you guys is when I'm thinking about cryptocurrency, and understand, again, I hosted a cryptocurrency meetup for about a year. And most people that joined that cryptocurrency meetup that were even mildly serious about cryptocurrency, they weren't using cryptocurrency as a currency whatsoever. So in fact, it was actually the novice investors that was the ones goofing around that were willing to pay me in cryptocurrency rather than in fiat currency. And that to me shows a certain mindset. And right now, it literally seems like most of the bulls that I see in the cryptocurrency market are of the mindset of essentially what I consider the South Park underwear gnome business model, which is collect underpants, ? And profit. And so the reason I bring this up is if you guys haven't seen this episode of South Park, one, do yourself a favor, go check it out. It's fantastic. But two, more specific to that, in this episode, the South Park gnomes, they're just like, I don't know, you get the underwear and then you make a bunch of money. And that's what a lot of people are doing with cryptocurrency. But the thing is, this to me feels much more like a magic trick than any sort of repeatable thing. So understand. And I see, Alfred's in there saying it's a store of value, and I appreciate that, Alfred. So understand when I'm looking at an investment or a business, I'm focused on, am I creating or generating value, right? And so for me, a lot of people that are buying into Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency at this point, their business model looks like buy it, hold on to it, cross our fingers, and someone else will pay us more money down the road. Now, let's I've got some concerns about some of the logic behind that as well. And my biggest concern is competition, right? So what's keeping someone from starting a new fork of Bitcoin or launching a new cryptocurrency, right? A new blockchain. And we've already seen that with lots of other blockchains. And what will dictate which one's a winner, right? And that's the big frustration, I guess, I have as a more, what in my mind, I consider a traditional investor, where I really subscribe to, Peter Thiel breaks down the billionaire, the PayPal founder, venture capitalist. He talks about this concept of a business generates or creates value and then captures a percentage of that value. And to me, being a stock market investor, originally back in the day, pre-meme stocks, pre-day trading and all that, was really about you using your capital to create market efficiencies, right? So you would go, you'd read the stock, you'd understand the board of directors, you understand the niche or the industry, the markets that they're in, and you would come to your own conclusions based upon what your perception of the value that business is going to generate in the future, and you would adjust your investment accordingly. You'd be long on it, you'd be short on it, whatever the case may be. And you would either buy more or sell and reallocate. Now, what I see with a lot of people that are investing, I'll use loosely here, into cryptocurrencies is really it's more of a collectible for them. It's something that they talk about never wanting to sell again. And now that in theory can be a store of value, and antiques and, certain collectibles do have real market value. And so absolutely, I understand that concept. Now, again, though, oftentimes those antiques or pieces of art also do have a certain value in it. Now, the argument with blockchain in general and cryptocurrency more specifically, or at least my understanding, correct me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, is that it's a more efficient means of exchange, right? And it's a means of exchange that's decoupled from any government, right? Or any individual organization or any individual really for that matter, which is very attractive when we're thinking about a currency. So again, me, the libertarian, the business owner, I love that in a currency, that there's really going to be no transaction fees, that it's very fast and relatively seamless, and that, in theory, it's universal. Now, the biggest issue I have is what moat is around Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other coin. And it's really difficult for me to really see it until you get to a certain critical mass. Now, has Bitcoin got to that critical mass? I've got no idea. I'm definitely not an expert. But what I do know is that until there's one true dominant winner in that space, or just a handful of them, there's going to be extreme volatility. And I still believe there's a lot of risk. But my bigger question to you guys, because a lot of people loved it, poke me or jab me about while you were working hard building a real estate empire, I made 600% returns or 2,000% returns off of cryptocurrency in the same years that you built your real estate empire, Matt. That's a fair criticism. And that is something that I'm not going to lie, it grinds my gears a bit. But my bigger question to you guys on this subject matter is, what have you learned in the time? Over the 3 or 4 years that I've been building a real estate empire, I learned to build a real estate empire. I can go do that again. I learned how to manage people. I learned how to manage my money more effectively. I learned tons about advertising and marketing. I learned about creating avatars of your prospect customers. I learned more about corporate structure, more about corporate governance, and all these different aspects. It looks like I'm freezing a lot right here, but I hope you guys are still hearing me. Let me know if you can still hear me in the comments, but it certainly looks like I'm frozen on my end. But what I've learned in that entire experience has been invaluable to me. And I can now go take that knowledge and experience and go apply it to other businesses and other opportunities. My biggest fear for those of you that are investing, and again, I'm using quotations here because I think it's very light, the investment side of it, and the speculation side, I think, is a lot more for most of you, is what are you actually learning? Or are you just a hodler that's just buying and just crossing his fingers and hoping that some greater fool will pay you down the road and pay you a lot more for that? Because my biggest question to you is, how do you repeat that magic trick? How do you do it? So where's the next cryptocurrency? Where's the next Bitcoin? And one thing I see a lot of cryptocurrency investors doing is immediately then jumping onto what a lot of people call shit coins. And then being like, well, if Bitcoin went from a penny to $57,000 a token, then clearly this shit coin will do the same thing. It's just a matter of time. Another interesting argument that I've been seeing people share on TikTok, and I forgot, I meant to bring it up so I could share it with you, but there's this argument, and it's a guy that I kind of enjoy how he talks on cryptocurrency as well, but he's always talking side-faced on TikTok, and he talks very monotone. He's like, da, da, da. And one of his big arguments is, the cryptocurrency market will evolve faster than stock markets because cryptocurrency markets are open 24/7 and stock markets aren't. First of all, there is after hours markets where people do trade a little bit in stocks, but yeah, I get what you're going. But understand that his argument here is that it's going to create more iterations and a faster evolution of that market. And in theory, on the surface, that makes a lot of sense. But I think if we dig a little bit deeper into it, it becomes a bit more difficult. Problems or profits mugs right now. What if I open up a 24/7 market where people are trading in problems or profits mugs? Will that create a more innovative, fast market for problems or profits? Well, it'll create a greater opportunity for people to be able to buy these mugs, but it doesn't inherently create more value in the mugs themselves. So there may be an opportunity for more participants to partake in trading in my problems or profits mugs. At the same time, it doesn't inherently make it a valid form of exchange. It doesn't mean that there's any underlying value in these mugs. And again, that's something that we really need to take into consideration, guys, when we're thinking about, are you investing or are you gambling with cryptocurrency? Again, I've met guys that are investing in cryptocurrency, not using air quotes whatsoever. Those dudes are fucking investing in cryptocurrency, but they live and breathe that shit the same way I live and breathe real estate. And these guys are often actually working on their own projects. So I can remember meeting at one of my cryptocurrency meetup groups, one of the guys working on the UBIC project. That guy was investing in cryptocurrency. That guy understood the technicalities. He was working on a blockchain project that's active, that's out there. And I can remember being like, I would invest in that dude. The same way, understand that's how we do it with businesses, guys. We don't just invest in a business. We invest in the management team, the executive team, the founder. You listen to any venture capitalist, and you're going to hear them talking about investing in the team of founders versus the idea. Ideas are fucking easy. Execution's hard. The other thing that's interesting about Bitcoin in particular is the fact that there isn't really a management team behind it. Now, again, there's value behind that when we think of a currency or a means of exchange for sure. But when we're thinking of an investment vehicle, I can't even really bet on someone with Bitcoin, right? And then you can have things like Bitcoin Cash, right? That can break off or fork off from it. And I imagine with time, we could see other challenges or other desires to want to fork off as well. And so again, when I was looking at the UBIC project, it was actually more attractive to me because I knew one of the guys working on it. I could see his passion. It just bled through him, right? It was all he talked about. So he was absolutely investing in cryptocurrency. Now, the same people that showed up to my cryptocurrency meetup 3 years ago that bought $1,000 worth of Bitcoin that are now sitting on tens of thousands of dollars, they may or may not be investing in cryptocurrency. If they're just, I'm going to hold it until I die, I don't even know what that means, right? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Okay, I made only 50 of these mugs. I'm never going to sell them to anyone. Now they're priceless. Go fuck yourself, right? Like, it's not a means of exchange. And that was the original assumption underlying cryptocurrency, was that we were going to use it as a method of exchange. And it was going to be a very effective, efficient means of exchange. Blockchain is here to stay. Blockchain and a form of cryptocurrency is definitely going to help speed up and reduce transaction and frictions in transactions. So love it. But again, it's not inherently guaranteed that you're going to see that 1 cent per Satoshi or whatever. It's not guaranteed that Bitcoin wins. And it's not guaranteed that regulators don't decide to muck it up. That's the other thing, right? Again, we see this all the time with anything that succeeds. And a lot of people are like, no, they won't get into a currency market. The government gets into everything else, right? Like, they can go after Microsoft and break up Microsoft. They can go after Standard Oil, right? They can go after United Steel. They can go after any conglomerate they want because they make the rules. And again, when they see a lot of actors they don't like using things that they don't like, they try and outlaw it, right? Like, whether we're talking about firearms, whether we're talking about cryptocurrency, there's a real risk here. Now, again, will the government be able to just ban it completely outright? No. But weird things could happen, right? There's already SEC filings against Tesla and Elon Musk for investing as much money as they did into Bitcoin. Now, again, I think it was actually a smart idea on his part. We've done a whole video on that where I talked about it on a live stream. But that still doesn't mean that they can't muck it up, right? What if the SEC decided that Tesla was being a bad fiduciary in regards to their stockholders' investment, right? What if all of a sudden there was a precedent now that they got boot stomped for doing that? That would scare a lot of other companies from wanting to make massive investments into cryptocurrency. Now, again, it's not guaranteed that they all flee from it. But what we need to really focus on is, looking at the full picture and understand if you're emotional, if you respond to this video or any video that's questioning the validity of cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in all caps being like, fucking moron, like, again, that's your emotion showing through. As an investor, I try and be as rational and logical of an actor as possible because my emotions rarely aid me when it comes to being a business owner or investor. Now, passion can, absolutely passion can, but emotions devoid of any purpose? No, not whatsoever. And I understand there's a lot of people with a lot of emotions right now. And cryptocurrency, I know the argument that a lot of people are making that as the price goes up, we're going to find more stability. I don't know if that's inherently true, or at least not for a while. Again, it's really going to be once people stop treating it like a speculative investment, instead are literally using it as a means of exchange. That's what's actually going to get mass adoption. That's what's actually going to hit critical mass. That's what's going to allow you, in my mind, to get to a tipping point where you maybe do become the winner, right? But the one thing that I've always struggled with in my mind, and we've talked about this on some of my live streams in the past, is what if I just launch my own coin, or I do a fork of Ethereum? And I decide, hey, you know what? Actually, instead, I'm going to create a Matt McKeever token. And one token entitles you to 1 hour of Matt's time. You can cash it in whenever. All of a sudden now, I essentially have Bitcoin, but I've now backed it by a real asset. Now, maybe you don't value my time whatsoever. Maybe you don't even value it for worth a cent. But there's an aspect and a population of people that do. And there's people that already pay me money for my time. So it wouldn't be inconceivable that I could create my own market around that. And now, again, I don't think that Matt McKeever coin is going to take the world by storm. But what if Elon Musk launched his own coin? What if Oprah launched her own coin? What if Kevin Hart did? What if Joe Rogan did, right? What if some massive person with real influence did? Maybe they don't back it by their time. Maybe they back it by something else, right? Or same with like if and when we start to see fractional ownership in companies, instead of shares, it goes to a blockchain type mechanism. Again, that's going to be backed by something real. That to me seems more interesting. And the thing that I think is a lot of people are overlooking when they get hyped about blockchain and Bitcoin is what happens when the blockchain comes to real estate. Okay, that's cool that you've got Bitcoin that can be used as a universal currency. But now I've taken my house and fractionalized its ownership. And think about the new capital that's going to race in to own a real asset that can also be used as a means of exchange. Oh, like, yeah, I technically own 1/1,000,000th of that house, but I'm actually going to cash it in for my cab fare or for my TTC fare, right? Like, and again, we could end up with like these complicated exchanges that can transact multiple, like change the currency into multiple currencies in a short period of time and allow you for that universal sort of transactions. Again, you may need a default currency that's kind of the clearing currency. Maybe that's Bitcoin, maybe that's Ethereum, maybe that's some coin that hasn't came out yet. But regardless, I still think that we're at the baby phase of all this. So does Bitcoin go to $1 million? Maybe. But my biggest question to you is, even if it does, what's next? Right? Like, was that your life? Was your life's work crossing your fingers, buying one coin and hoping it went to $1 million? Or because like, why? Like, is that what you want your life story to be? Or do you want to build a business? Do you want to change lives? Do you want to employ people? Do you want to make a difference? And now, again, I do understand some, especially like anarchists or capital anarchists, libertarians and things like that, see the adoption of a currency that's no longer coupled to a government or a world organization as being that big shakeup and that part of your legacy. If that's you, if that's honestly your argument for cryptocurrency, for the love of God, start treating it like a currency. Start transacting with it. Go actually buy a pizza with Bitcoin rather than holding on to it like it's your precious, right? Because again, when it's your precious, it's emotional. Every piece of real estate I own is always for sale. Now, the price may be a little bit absurd. Right now, you want to buy over 100 units in London, Ontario, $175,000 a unit. You make me a cash offer at $175,000 a unit, I'll get you about 120 units like that. No issues, right? You got to spare whatever that works out to, $20 million lying around, hit me up. That's for sale. You want to buy my YouTube channel? It's technically for sale. I've got an emotional attachment to it, so it's going to be expensive, but everything in my life is for sale. Even these priceless problems or profits mugs, in theory, are still for sale. So it's just a matter of the price point. But right now, I see a lot of verbiage, at least. Maybe this is true, maybe it's not. Because again, we also saw it with GameStop, right? And its shares, where people are like, diamond hands, you hold on forever if we never let it go. But like, now you find yourself in the prisoner's dilemma, right? Where it's like, ooh, if we all agree to not spoil it for anyone, we can get uber rich. But as soon as a few of us spoil it, they take a little bit of money, it breaks the wall, right? I've been talking to my team about the Roman Empire and why the legions were so effective in their time compared to any other army. And now there's a lot of factors involved, but I would argue that discipline was one of the primary factors behind it. It was the discipline of holding that Roman line, right? It was the discipline of knowing that the guy to your right and the guy to the left wasn't going to break and retreat, that you were holding the line no matter what. And that discipline allowed them to conquer their known world at the time. And so again, outside of small groups on really focused, disciplined missions, it's hard for the market to in unison do these things, right? So it's fascinating to see GameStop and Wall Street Bets do that. Again, we'll probably see them try and regulate that into oblivion, right? You guys are probably already aware of that. But on the other side of the aspect is then looking at, sorry, I just saw we were at 64 viewers and kind of lost my train of thought because this is actually the highest we've ever done. So thank you guys. I hope you're enjoying it. And because of that, I'm actually going to jump into some of the comments and then I'll pick up my idea afterwards. But I appreciate the fact that we've got Chris, Crystal, Ian. Those are some regulars here. We've also got Kevin, Kashif. We've got Roots, Tim Felsky, the cryptocurrency. I think of Crypto Tim and Tim Felsky as interchangeable nouns. Crypto News Toronto, that's awesome. And John, awesome, guys. Well, appreciate everyone jumping in here. Their 200% is management teams behind crypto projects. You have to look into the white papers and coding teams creating projects. People buy the coins expecting ROI. Yes, Ryan, absolutely. Love that. That's a great point. Again, that's when you're investing, right? The same argument I've got against a lot of people that are day trading stocks or investing in stocks is they've never looked at financial statements. They've never read a management discussion and analysis paper, right? Or for cryptocurrency, have you read the white paper? Do you understand the team behind it, right? Like, these are big factors. You shouldn't just be looking at, well, it's a penny now and I've got $1,000. If I buy $1,000 of pennies and those pennies go to $1 million, I'm a billionaire. Because like, what we also need to look at, and like, again, there are an aspect of individuals that are doing this, but like, what are the market caps for what you're trying to replace with your disruptive technology, right? And what percentage of that do you think that you can realistically capture? And understand that it's often a lot easier to capture 100% of a small niche than 1% of a massive market. You listen to any venture capitalist almost any venture capitalist worth their salt. There's always going to be a few outliers there. But you listen to the Peter Thiels, the Mark Andreessens, the Ben Horowitzes of the world, and you're going to hear a very common dialogue from them, which is start small, niche down. Facebook was Harvard University, right? And then went to other Ivy Leagues. Then went to other universities and colleges campuses. Then went to other countries that had university and colleges campuses, right? And all that. We need, as business owners, I think we need to think the same way. Because when I see people being like, well, the currency markets are a massive number and Bitcoin's going to be that massive number too. Well, one, the currency markets isn't one currency. There's actually a bunch of currencies made up of it, right? So again, like, it's probably a better representation to look at what's the largest individual currency market. And if you believe Bitcoin's going to be the largest individual currency, maybe we can draw some analogies there or a metaphor there. But again, if you're just like, it's going to replace all currencies, this one coin, it's difficult for me to really grasp how that's going to play out. Because again, just getting every individual actor to agree to it, especially government actors, right? And that's the one thing we need to consider too. Government actors may just refuse to play along. They may not. Who knows? Maybe we'll see mass adoption by government agencies, but it'd be the first time ever government agencies just willingly gave up power. And if you don't understand that currencies are one of the greatest powers that you've got, understand that there's a lot of people that believe the Federal Reserve is more powerful than the US president, right? And again, when I see people just like drawing random conclusions because they saw one YouTuber talk for 5 minutes about cryptocurrency, or they read one blog post, or worse, they saw a meme that simply showed the return you could have got had you bought Bitcoin from day one. Do you know who bought Bitcoin from day one? Hardcore blockchain enthusiasts that knew everything about blockchain day one. right? Like, again, that's an investment of time and energy. You're generating real value by becoming an expert in that. If you don't believe that you're an expert in cryptocurrency, you're a speculator. That's all there is to it. I'd love for you to change my mind in the comment section. Let me know what your logic is behind claiming you're not a speculator, even if you don't have a competitive advantage, even if you're not a techno nerd, because it's really difficult for me to understand. But believe it or not, I am occasionally open to new perspectives. So if someone convinces me otherwise, I will happily eat my words on the next episode. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me on today's video. Love the fact that we had so many uniques. If you guys got value from this, if you'd like to see these longer form discussions where Matt sits on chair rather than stands up, smash the like button, hit subscribe, share this on social media, and let me know what other topics would you like to see us discuss further in depth. And this one was really a one-way conversation because I'm just trying to get the feel of this. But with time, I'll get better at seeing your comments on the fly. And I really do want this to become a two-way conversation. So I really appreciate you guys. Really love the fact that you're engaging so much in the comments. And let me know, what shitcoin right now are you waiting to go to the moon to? And have you read the white paper on the shitcoin? It's been so long since I even seriously thought about crypto that I forgot about white papers, guys. That's why I'm not an expert. Appreciate it though, Ryan. And again, like Tim spends a bunch of time on cryptocurrency, right? Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, but you got a master's in blockchain, right? Like that's someone that's investing real time and energy into it. Again, the person that just randomly saw one tweet from one dude and decided to go all in isn't investing, they're speculating. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next